This is Marco Reus.
This is Shinji Kagawa.
This is Nuri Shahin.
Hello, this is Jaden Sancho.
And you're listening to the Yellowwall podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 426 of the Yellowwallpod. I'm your host Stefan Wutzko, and today we will talk about Borussia Dortmund's first opponent in the UEFA Champions League, FC Kopenhagen. The Danish champions will visit the Westfalenstadion on Tuesday, and to help me preview this match, I'm joined by fellow BVB fan and Yellowwallpod listener Søren Toft from Copenhagen. Hello Søren, how are you doing?
Thank you very much, Stefan. It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is all mine, Søren. So to begin with, maybe just quickly, tell me how excited you were when Borussia Dortmund and FC Kopenhagen were drawn together in one group.
Well, I couldn't believe my luck, to be honest. It's it's my first team, Borussia Dortmund, meeting my hometown team, Copenhagen. So when I saw the UCL draw, that I think was a Thursday night, I just went, it was just amazing. I knew I was gonna see Borussia Dortmund once again here in Copenhagen. I saw them here 20 years ago in the UEFA Cup, and I was going to watch them here again. And I'm going to watch them in the Westfalen next week.
So why is Borussia Dortmund your first team and not your second team? How did this happen?
Well, actually, it goes a long way back. It's I was born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s, and the teams in the Bundesliga in the 80s were like Hamburg and Bayern, and for me. A little later on in the early 1990s, Danish forward Flemming Poulsen was signed by BVB, and they really caught my attention. It was not that I was a huge fan of Flemming Poulsen or anything, but the media attention it gave to those limited media platforms at that stage was like I really grew in love with Borussia Dortmund in the early 90s, and the success they had up in the 90s. It was just it was a magnificent story, I think, and a great club, great area, great city. I don't know, for some reason I also really enjoyed the kit back then. The 90s kit that Nike made for them was also a big thing for me. So it's it goes a long way back, and it's been coming back and forth, and something that it's a long-lasting love and relationship I've enjoyed with Borussia Dortmund, ups and downs, but I still really enjoy watch them play, and I really enjoy going to Dortmund. I think it's a great city, and my family has it the same way, but most of them are actually the other way around. They, these matches coming up, it's for them it's Copenhagen first and then Dortmund second. But I've made sure to make them understand where I am, and it's Dortmund first and then Copenhagen second. But I hope they'll both, of course, enjoy some success in the Champions League group stage. Most likely Dortmund will, though. Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because Copenhagen have reached the group stages by beating Trabzonspor in the Champions League playoff round. A 2-1 victory and a scoreless draw were enough to achieve that. And right now in the league, they are struggling a little bit because they've been alternating between losses and wins. In the Danish Super League so far, they have 3 wins and 4 losses. And coach Jes Thorup has succeeded Ståle Solbakken about 2 seasons ago. So my first question to you, Søren, is what their playing style is nowadays, and how that might differ between a domestic league day and a European night.
It certainly differs, and it's actually, it's as you say, it's been a very rocky start to the season for Copenhagen. Losing 4 matches out of the first seven is just something unheard of. It's the same amount of matches they lost the entire championship season last year. So it's a very rocky start. And in terms of playing style, we will see a different FC Kopenhagen coming to the Westfalenstadion. That's for sure than what we'll see in the Danish league. Usually he's a guy who likes his 4-2-3-1 or 4-2, some sort of game plan around that. He likes to apply high pressure, but also play on counter attacks. But to be quite honest, he's also a coach he's had really strong difficulties finding an identity and a style of play for this Copenhagen team. So it's he's not a fan favorite, to be quite honest. Though he won the championship, he's really dividing the fan group there. But qualifying for the Champions League though is a huge thing for a club like Copenhagen. So that has given him some leash. But to be honest, right after the Trabzon games, they played very well. Two very, very, very good games against Trabzonspor. They went and lost 3-1 in the home league, and it's a very, very unstable performance. Is something some of us who's followed Dortmund for a long time also recognizes that now and again. But
Yeah, that is obviously true, but I don't think it's that up and down for Dortmund just yet. But I'm also hoping it's not heading this direction.
No.
But we're obviously recording this on Thursday before Friday's match against Hoffenheim. So we do not know what the result is of that game and who's obviously going to be fit coming out of this game. Copenhagen also going to play against Silkeborg on Friday as well. So maybe they will also have a couple of injuries and whatnot, but obvious question about opponents that I know very little of is what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses?
Looking at FCK over the last year or so, it's really, really difficult to find their immediate strengths because they're very, very unstable performances. I think even for the championship season, you could say that they've been very unstable. I think when we look to the European nights, there is something that, I think will have an effect here, because if you apply any sort of football logic, it's going to be 6 matches and they're going to lose all 6 of them. But I think one strength that could play here is that they've got a very, very good home support. Playing in Parken for them on European nights is something special. Over the, last 20 years or so, they managed to take points from Barcelona, beat Manchester United. It was a 1-0, but still. So I think if we're going to see something from Copenhagen, we're going to see it at home. I doubt that they have the strength to go to Westfalen, Sevilla, City, and do anything glorious there. I sincerely doubt that. But again, I do also believe that, should they be able to do something, it's going to be in Parken. It's an electric atmosphere there. I really look forward to it, and I think everyone watching the Champions League and also for people following Dortmund look forward to this game in Copenhagen. It's gonna be great. It's a nice stadium, 40,000, just below 40,000 capacity, and it's just, as I said, an electric atmosphere there, and great support from the fans. So I think that will play to their advantage and one of their strengths in their home matches. If we look at what their weaknesses is, that they really gotta play up to standard here, because they're up against three very, very strong opponents. And if they don't keep a cool head, if they are not 100% ready for this, it's already been proven in the league so far this season that they'll get. They could end up getting smashed against even Sevilla, absolutely against Dortmund, and definitely against Manchester City. So it's gonna be a very tough group for Copenhagen, definitely.
Yeah. So if you look at their last results, they have lost 3-1 against Nordsjælland. And what's interesting is that if you go to Transfermarkt, which you usually do, and you look at their most valuable players, Andreas Cornelius, their striker.
He just came in yesterday. He's, for Andreas Cornelius, it's he just got signed yesterday, actually.
Oh,
he was just, yeah.
I was wondering why he wasn't on a team sheet, but that makes sense if he wasn't.
Makes sense, yeah. They actually signed him from Trabzonspor. He was playing against them in the qualifying against Trabzonspor. So, but he's an old fan favorite from Copenhagen. He grew up here in Copenhagen, had his youth career in FC Kopenhagen, and had a few spells abroad and came back and in Turkey. And now just today got announced today that he's come back to Copenhagen to join them. He is possibly one of the forwards that they've been looking for. A huge guy, very good aerial abilities and great header, and he can be very dominant in the area as a striker. Also a great left foot. But he is someone they will possibly try to look for at set pieces. But yeah, definitely, he's a great signing for them, and definitely something that has strengthened the squad going into this Champions League phase in this autumn, no doubt about it. But I think talking about players, I think we need to mention at least Carlos Seca, captain. He's been injured now for I think 7 to 8 months or something. Came back for the qualifyings. Against Trabzonspor and did a magnificent performance there, especially in Trabzonspor, and it was a 0-0 game, but he was really leading the team through that game, and with a very strong organization, a very collective effort, they managed to pull it through. So he's definitely worth mentioning too. He's one of the seasoned players also for FC Kopenhagen.
Yeah, he's 34 years old.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
It's Portuguese and Greek dual nationalship. Decent central midfield player. He is your club captain, and who else stands out? Obviously, the defensive midfield, the central midfield will be absolutely key for Copenhagen if they want to have any chance against Dortmund. They will probably face Özcan and Bellingham if I had to predict it right now. So, who else is going to slot next to Seca?
I think it will be Rasmus Falk, and as you say, the midfield will be key for Copenhagen to stand a chance in Dortmund this Tuesday. But Rasmus Falk is one that comes to mind. He's he's very strong in the ball, very good in the offensive part, and extremely strong also in the defensive part. So he's one that comes to mind as well. Very strong player. He's proved himself in European competitions before, and he's been just outstanding in the Danish league. No doubt that he's one of the best players in this league. So I think it's by choice that he's actually playing in the Danish league and not abroad. So he's definitely someone that we will see, and who will need to do a really, really good performance if they're going to take anything away from these games. But I think someone I really, really like as well, and I think is worth taking a note on is the left back, young Victor Christiansen. I really hope he's going to start it. He's just 19 years old. He's a really great talent. I think he got his debut when he was 17. Excellent talent, excellent ball progression. Really looking forward to seeing him on this stage. And with the left back issues we have in Borussia Dortmund, I hope someday he might be able to progress and make it there. So he's a good guy. He's really one to watch out for.
Yeah, obviously, I have my eyes on Pep Biel because he is a guy who scores and assists. How is he doing? He was playing until the addition of your latest striker.
But not cut you off, Stefan.
Yeah, is he still there?
And I was just saying, it's not to cut you off, Stefan, but we're in transfer days, and he's just got sold.
Oh. Well, I'm on transfer market.
Cornelius in and Pep Biel out.
All right.
Well, no, I think that's just been announced today also. So.
Okay. Well, that's too bad because that means I have no question on him anymore. So maybe we should have waited a day, but here we are. Any other players you want to highlight that maybe are not in danger to get sold?
Well, let's take some of those who are. He's actually injured. I don't know if he'll be back for the second time in Copenhagen. Young guy Rooney, I think he's still only 16, just got 17 maybe. Swedish winger, huge talent, really, really huge talent. Great expectations around him. I know for certain he won't be able to make it to the game in Dortmund on Tuesday, but hopefully he might make it for the game in Copenhagen. But apart from that, I think it's also worth mentioning they've strengthened themselves with Mohamed Darami. Was sold to Ajax 1 year ago from Copenhagen. Really didn't make it there and had a difficult time breaking into the Ajax first team. He's returned, and I don't think we've seen his best in this season and in the first few games he's had so far. But as he progresses and as the team progresses, I think he's definitely one to look for as well. Very spectacular winger. So yeah, he plays very well also with the left back Victor Christiansen I mentioned just before. This pairing with these two is quite good on the left side. They like to progress and get forward, both of them. So look forward to that as well. Mohamed Darami, definitely.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Now, obviously, you also have the luxury now that you also know Borussia Dortmund very well. So what do you expect from Edin Terzic, and what do you think Dortmund should do in order to beat this Copenhagen team?
I think what they'll meet, what Borussia Dortmund will meet in Westfalen is a team that will try and be very organized. But I think it's also a team that Borussia Dortmund, any given match day, should be able to break down over time. I don't think they're just going to wipe them out, but I think they should be able to win the battle on the midfield. And I think what we saw from Salih Özcan on the weekend in Hertha is something that's going to be vital again. I think Carlos Seca, as I mentioned before, and Rasmus Falk, they need competition in that midfield, and I think Salih Özcan and definitely also Jude Bellingham is up for that. So winning that battle absolutely would weaken an otherwise fairly strong midfield for Copenhagen.
Do Copenhagen have a lot of pace up front? Are they dangerous on the counterattack, or are they so-so on the counterattack?
Again, if it applies to the Danish league, I would say they have a fairly good pace. When we look at Champions League and they're up against defenders, like, I don't know, Mats Hummels is a bit difficult. Maybe he isn't that pacey as he used to be. But if we look at the players like Schlotterbeck and Süle, I don't think they will be able to outpace them, to be quite honest. Dortmund should be able to put a lot of pressure on and also put in a very high defensive line to put pressure on Copenhagen without making any scandals or any threats of being overrun. Andreas Cornelius, the striker, he's a big guy. I'm not saying he's slow or anything, but he's not a sprinter.
Yeah, I've seen him play. He is not fast. I can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lastly, what is your scoreline prediction for Tuesday?
I think for Tuesday, I've given it a lot of thought. I think it's going to be a 3-1.
All right.
For Dortmund.
That sounds very confident.
I'm quite confident Dortmund is gonna win this first match. I just don't see Copenhagen having the ability and quality to go to Dortmund and make a point for such an important game for Dortmund. I think this is hugely important for Dortmund to get well off in the group stage. So I doubt that they will have the capabilities and quality to go there and be any sort of threat to them. But I mean, Dortmund also obviously got to show up for this game, but I actually don't have any doubts that they will do that.
Well, what is important from a Dortmund perspective is that you also have a lot of players like Schlotterbeck, like Adeyemi, also like Modeste, for example, that are really looking forward to the Champions League. And I'm sure Salih Özcan in that regard you can also name, because these are all new signings and they are all still relatively fresh. Obviously, they're inexperienced when it comes to the Champions League, so maybe that might be a bit of a shock, because the Champions League sometimes can be a bit different than regular league play. No doubt. However, I think for now, on paper, to me, that is a positive because they will be motivated. And of course, having a sold-out Westfalenstadion with 81,000 fans, it's going to be a brilliant night, no doubt. And I'm very much looking forward to it. And I think you're absolutely right. Borussia Dortmund need to start well into this group, and having Copenhagen at home, the pot 4 team that, according to Transfermarkt, when the group was drawn, I think their budget or the value of the team was valued around 70 million euros, sorry. And that is quite a discrepancy to Dortmund. So they are on paper the big favorites, and it is on paper the easiest game, even though Copenhagen fans have also told me that they are not to be underestimated, which is, of course, always the case in the Champions League game. You cannot underestimate any opponent because even the quote-unquote minnows usually are well-organized teams that have enjoyed success in their domestic leagues and thus often arrive with a bit of confidence. Now, obviously, might not entirely be true for Copenhagen since they have already 4 league losses. So, as you said, that ship is maybe not sailing steadily into the Westfalenstadion, but nevertheless, I am very much looking forward to this game. And I would really talk about the potential lineup from Dortmund, whether we will see maybe even a Gio Reyna or not, but the problem is we just don't know yet. So we can obviously all predict that Kobel is probably going to be in goal, and Guerrero and Wolf as fullbacks, and then you have Hummels and Schlotterbeck as the center backs, I assume. And then you have a Bellingham, Özcan, double pivot, and I assume you would play Adeyemi and Malen, and then up front Modest, because Terzic did say that there is a chance that Malen might be fit for this game, and I think if he's fit, then he should play. So that's my prediction right now, but honestly, no idea how it's actually going to pan out. And nearly forgot to mention that Marco Reus is probably going to start as a 10, but no surprise there. So, Søren, unless you have any other things to add, thank you very much for joining me on the Yellowwallpod and giving a little bit more insight on Copenhagen than Matthias Suhl could do, which is very low bar to clear. But nevertheless, you did clear that bar.
It was cool. I like the fact that apparently he watches when he gets up early. So if there's nothing else, you can watch the Danish league if you're located in the States for very early days. So.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining, and as always, everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. You can follow all of us at Yellowwallpod on Twitter, and of course subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm still doing the BVB update. If you enjoy daily news around Borussia Dortmund, that is also on our YouTube channel. You find that either by typing in BVB update or the Yellow Wall. And that is it from us for today. And enjoy the Champions League, and you, of course, Søren, enjoy your trip to Dortmund.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.